Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2 from the playoffs of Team Liquid's Star League 6, brought to you by Shopify. We're looking at two of the best players in the entire world, but sometimes we want to see even more. We want to get a perspective of that player. So while on the other side of the map, a man we've watched before and a man we'll watch again. Not even building his Rex at the natural, doing some... What are you doing? What is this? Is this a Reaper build? Well, we're going to find out from the other side. It's Byun playing Terran, but... we're shining a light on the terrifying player in the bottom left. The one who does not seem to care what his opponent is doing. He's just going to figure out the best way to win anyways. You might slow him down, but you probably won't stop him, because at the end, everything is dark. And of course, I should have included the vertigo warning at the start, because when you watch first-person perspectives, we won't see exactly, but we'll see what they're selecting, what they're looking at. This is usually very helpful for, one, being more particular about how to respond to things, because sometimes, like, you just assume pro players are perfect. And they're not perfect. They're human, too, occasionally. Innovation notwithstanding. And they miss things. Every now and again, someone catches the glimpse of a medevac or something, but maybe didn't see it on the minimap. Or they might see something that, during a normie cast, as they're called, might not be pointed out. And that really does, it's a little, at this level, it's all little things. No one's like typing in the chat. I mean, I guess occasionally there's nearly that, but no one's typing in the chat like, yeah, I'm going 3 Rax Reaper, or I'm doing a Hellion build. No, like, there are little tells on when, for Zerg especially, you need to produce units, what to do with your early queens, which are probably your most important units for at least 5 minutes, and some might argue the entire game, and I would be one of those people. Hashtag Yas Queens. But Dark is up against Byun, who is well known as a micro-oriented player. It's very likely, well, one, he's not going to go mech. We can rule that one out. And two, he's probably going to end up with a lot of units that start with M and be microing them as intensely as possible. Obviously, we know that, Byun knows that, Dark knows that. So we're gonna find out how Dark likes to handle it. He's just what looks to be essentially standard. What are we looking at? We have those Marines just gave it away. It's 2-1-1, by the way. Dark now understands. He's gonna be sending the Overlord in for a scout. It looks like it's just going far enough to see the gases at the natural, and if the gases aren't coming up, and he sees that many Marines, you know what this is. It's a 2-1-1. Of course. Brenda and her knitting crew coming together, and there are a couple different schools of thought on defending this. One is building enough lings to both counterattack and smash it, and then two is usually the route taken, which is build queens, and then at around 4 minutes to 4:30, because it hits around 5 minutes, you build lings. And then from there, you just try to figure out how many drones you can get away with. And we're looking at 42 drones right now for Dark. I'm actually checking. He knows that I'm right. Whereas, of course, Byun is behind. That's how Larva Inject works. But now ling production has begun. He's got a second gas here. And yeah. No third. Any amount of Marines. He's scouting for when the medevacs move out. The creep spread looking pretty solid right now. Surprised the lair hasn't started yet. Inject coming through. And he might be saving his gas for the 1-1 upgrades to start, and then start a lair. It's going to be a very ling-heavy style. This is very APM intensive, because you need to have lings and a bunch of different plays. Like, just playing lings at all just naturally is very high on the APMs. But and we've seen this before against Maru as well. Just relentless Zerglings, and pretty much only Zerglings. There's not even a Baneling nest here. Dark surprisingly supply blocked with that Overlord getting killed. The drop comes out. That's a lot of Marines, and of course there's the stim. The target fire gets a medevac right off the bat. The knitting crew with a beautiful concave. Just fighting the Marines for now, not worrying about the medevac. More lings are on the way. The thing is, every time they stim, they take that damage. The Queens are more than enough. They stand their ground. They take out a medevac. They hold the line. And after all of that, Dark is up in drones. He's got a solid economy. He's about to have 50 drones. And his creep spread has only been temporarily slowed down. It hasn't been stopped. It hasn't been reset. The Queens are still very much intact. In fact, Dark now has 9 Queens. And counting. He's going to double digits. The absolute madman. Jimmy! We didn't want to see that again. Oh my god. Well, here you see Queens injecting, as they do. But that looked easy. He figured it out early, but that is part of the reason why 2-1-1 isn't very popular, because players just figured out, oh yeah, you can just keep building Queens. And, like, while the Queens don't kill the Marines, Queens don't cost larva, they don't cost gas. Like, what's not to love? A whole harem of Queens here. For Dark. That's the counter. The counter is not Zerglings and Queens, it's Queens. And then fill in whatever rest, like 10 Queens. It takes a lot of Marines, especially if you don't have upgrades, because Queens have 1 base armor. And they're about to have another one on top. At some point, the Queens are going to come marching across the map. Well, it's not necessarily the case, but wow, Dark is building, like I said, APM intensive, larva intensive. Dark is perfectly happy to build 2 macro hatches in his main. Why not? Why not? Like, you need the larva, you need the lynx. And on the other side, Dark is just sending the lynx towards the front. The army's still there. Dark doesn't seem to care. The Zerglings are coming back. They scouted no third, so he's just coming in from all sides. The Queen's holding the line, gets 1 of the medevacs. Good luck with the rest. Yeah, sure, the Lings might not be enough to kill the Marines, but oh my god, Dark has all 9 Queens are here. That's another reason to build extra hatches, so that way you can have larva without injecting all your hatches. He's building 3 more Queens, though. Can I get an even dozen? Hashtag Yas Queens. Byun's upgrades are pretty slow here. He was very focused on getting the damage done. It wasn't like Dark is bending, but he didn't break. Dark didn't bend. He's just sitting here, waiting for Byun to do something that actually threatens him. And so far, that has not been the case. Some banelings getting a little ambitious coming in from the side. More banelings built. Also, gonna run. Oh, Byun scans to make sure he doesn't get caught. But Dark, by the way, this has continually shown Dark that Byun has not at least landed his 3rd, even though he likely has it. So there's no reason Dark needs to get super greedy. There's no reason he needs like a 4th or a 5th. If Byun isn't even on 3 bases, the Queen's just all over the place trying to inject. There's still plenty. He's got a dozen now. 24 supply is in Queens. The rock's taken down, making it that much easier to flank the army. Some more drops sent out, but like, it just feels like Dark has enough, no matter where he is. Byun, it's like poking a brick wall. The transfuse is coming through. The one thing missing here, where I thought he was going to bring Lynx. More Queens showed up. Dealing with the drops, a little Selecto Army. I don't know if it's Selecto Army or all his units are on that 1 key. But that's what the Queens are for, to hold the line until the Zerglings can get their shit together. Dark just goes, he's defending with Queens and attacking with Lings. Every single Ling and Bane he has right now is committed on the other side, and it's more than enough, because most of Byun's army is in medevacs or holding position outside the 3rd. The SCVs, gone. Just completely and utterly gone. 23 SCVs, obliterated in a counterattack. The main base, sure, there's a little damage coming out there. But Dark has lost nothing of his economy. He didn't even lose... Okay, he finally lost a drone. He's lost 2 total this game. The Queens are The Queens are enough! That's it. That's all you need. 3 drones go down almost incidentally. The Queens are holding the line against the attack as they have been for 5 minutes or so now. The Zerglings endless. The swarm continues to stream out of the hatcheries. Oh, some Queens are lost, but revenge! Brenda's revenge! Another medevac falls. Like 4 or 5 to the Queens now. The reinforcements cut off and cut down. Now, the downside, like, even with all these macro hatches, Dark banking some money because all the Queens are at the front. Without Larva Inject. Oh no! Divide and Conquer! Finally, some damage is being taken by Dark, who's been nearly impregnable this entire game. Now, of course, he's dealing it out. He's giving just as good as he's getting right now. Dark with the counterattack finds an opportunity. More Queens to target down. He holds onto the hatch, but he kills an orbital. Wow! What world are we living in? Where the Zerglings kill an orbital, but the Marines can't kill a hatch. Dark. The only reason Byun got any damage is because Dark was so focused on dealing it out on the other side. And like that, killing the orbital, that's just icing on the cake. That was completely unnecessary, and that didn't... Byun is so heavily taxed right now that Dark is just finding opportunities. There's just... Byun is just not able to get any damage done. And Byun is possibly the best micro Terran in the world, remember. He's definitely up there. I mean, like, he has to compete with his stunt double, Clem, for that title. But at the... Dark, you can't micro... There's only so much micro you can do against Queens. They're gonna kill your medevacs. You get too close, then you lose the medevacs. You don't get close enough, you don't kill the Queens. There's no good options. And now Dark is sitting once again on 4 bases. He's up in workers. He's got a... yeah, if you look at the incomes right now, Dark has a good idea of what this looks like. He's running away with it. It was kind of close for a little bit if enough mules were dropping. But you know what? How you get mules? Orbitals. You know what Byun lost to Zerglings because he was so stressed out? An orbital! So now, with gas in the bank, the Lurker Den is finishing. Viper's on the way. +3, +2. Before a Terran on the +3. This is... It feels like, while Byun might... while Dark might not be in another league, if there were tiers in Grandmaster, they would be shed by Terrans, right? But also, it feels like he should just be in, like, the next tier of Grandmaster right now. He just looks better on every front. Dark has been making the top players in the world. He's been kind of embarrassing them lately. And well, I don't think this is embarrassing for Byun. Losing the orbital was pretty embarrassing. It's just, like, why is Dark smurfing in TSL? Somebody answered, killing the game, in my opinion. Killing the game. People aren't going to want to play against him. He's got high-tech lurkers. He's got half a dozen bases. He's got macro hatches all over the place. He's been defending essentially with Queens and then whatever he fills in. Everything is coming together, and Byun has been struggling to hold 3 bases throughout all this. He hasn't killed a hatch. He's killed a half a dozen drones, maybe. 10. Dark is maxed out. He's got minerals, not too much gas in the bank. And now here he comes from the right side. Widowmon's doing a lot of damage, but Dark has units to burn, and the Lurkers. That's where the real damage is. The Lurkers shredding the planetary. Now, wait a second. Where's the... Oh, the blinding cloud into the Lurkers, pushing the Marines a couple steps forward. And while the Lings... 100 Zerglings in production. 100! Oh my god! Dark keeping it 100. Zerglings in production here in game number 1. Like, what are you gonna do? The only limiting factor right now is larva. He needs more hatches. He's got the minerals, he's got the gas. Byun looking for an opportunity, but the Lurkers just come home. Parasitic Bomb? Dark doesn't waste his time. He's not going to kill them out of axe. The blinding clouds have been devastating. The queens just hanging out, as they do. Ready to party, down to clown. Meanwhile, the deadly army moving across. There's a small counterattack on the left side. The queens all moving into position. But Byun is going to have to find a way to deal with this. I'm not sure exactly how. And neither is he. GG. It's all over. Meanwhile, everybody leaves as Brenda and her knitting crew knock a few more medevacs out of the sky to really cap off this dominant. Like, it took 15 minutes. Dark is patient. He's a patient man. But he also is inevitable. I mean, when you have that many Zerglings, when you... He was making 100 Zerglings at a time, and the only reason there weren't more is because he didn't have more hatcheries. Like, I don't know where Byun was not. His build was essentially uncontested. Like, he did his 2-1-1, he did his double medevac drop, and it just didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. Dark just slapped it down. Just no. And then also maybe no. Like, give him a little bit of that. But at the end of the day, end of the day, yeah. That is my commentary. All right. Now, remember in the good old days when we didn't have any observer overlays, so we just kind of used the standard one that took up half the screen? Like the selection? Yeah, good times. The good old days. So, here's something to point out. We'll see if Dark realizes. But Byun is proxy raxing. Well, actually, I'm going to the Byun action cam. Yeah. Yep. Okay, well. Dark, equally effective against cheeses as he is in those devastating macro games. He doesn't seem to have a weakness. The only times I've seen Dark lose recently are when he tries to do some cheese. Like, maybe that's it. Maybe baiting him into doing some sort of silly all-in. But he rarely does it. And he usually does it as a source of revenge. I'm referencing Dark versus Parting. Parting tries to cannon rush, and then Dark's like, well, I can proxy hatch. Neither player won that game. Their cheese game, that is. Just spoilers. So he's looking for the racks. Like, Dark has sent out these overlords looking for exactly what this is. He's not going to see it. This is about... Oh, that red is sus right now. Oh, surprise! Okay. Yep. He saw this about as late as he could. So, Dark pulls everything! Every drone! Dark ain't fucking around with this right now. Not even going for the bunker. He's going for the Marines. He'll lose a few drones, but he goes all the way mineral walking past to get those, by the way. I gotta point that one out. All the way to, like, the mineral walking to the other side. Murdering Marines! The Predator drones! The Zerglings are coming out as well. Dark has lost 5 drones, but Byun has lost every opportunity to do damage here. There's a spine crawler done. What a strong arm response right there. It's like, no, 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 again. And while he may have lost 5 drones, yes, but... Oh, Brenda! The queens are out. And that means the Overlord, where he knows there's probably a barracks headed this way that will try to get the high ground vision to kill the Ovi, so Dark preemptively. Yeah. So, the drones, he lost a few, but keeping the hatch alive and only losing 5 drones, that's a bargain. Right now, Dark already ahead in workers, and obviously, there's not a quick expansion because you can't build 3 racks and also command centers in a timely manner. He'll get there, but so Dark just usually against a 3 racks proxy, there are so many Marines you can't pull the drones. Like, you're not usually supposed to, quote unquote. But Dark pulled everything, and he did it with such confidence. I think Byun was he was a bit in shock. His Marines just scrambling backwards. But the drones were already too close. Their claws already in clawing distance. So and Dark didn't see it until it was already there. Just immediate. So now what? I don't think, like, losing 5 drones in that much mining time isn't nothing. As you can see from the, well, the income tab. Can you tell when all of the drones were pulled? There is Zergling speed done now, though. And we've confirmed the Marines are out on the map. So with enough Zerglings, they should be able to surround and kill. It's a bit of a gamble from both sides right now. Now this is a bait. This is a bait right here. He wants them to come back with the Marines. Oh, he's found him. And you know what he does to Marines he finds? He kills them. Marines a little spread out. No upgrades, of course. And they all die. They will never be going home to their families. Assuming they have them. Dark comes for all. At the end of the day, only darkness. Dark with just enough lings to dominate the map. And then, not like I need to all in now, so many lings. But enough to make sure Byun has to stay in his base until he has something more than Marines. And after that, drone count exploding. A little supply blocked here. A little supply blocked with larva in the bank, or about to be larva in the bank. You know what? Actually, he only has 1 larva. So never mind. He's going to have the OVs finishing right as more larva pops off. It's not nearly as bad as it seems. And Dark has dragged Byun kicking and screaming into the same... Well, kicking, screaming, and then immediately silenced. Into essentially the same game as last game. Now Byun is going for Marines with medevacs against a Dark who comfortably has 3 bases and is building queens with a bunch of links. We've ended up at the same spot, even if it took a few more twists and turns to get there. And Dark fully using that creep spread. He's got 1-1 on the way. The lair should start. Meow. There you go. Lair on the way. Upgrades a little behind Byun's this time. He's not going to have that advantage. The drone count is getting out of hand. How many is he at now? 60? With 6 more on the way, I don't think he'll build many more past this until he confirms whether Dark has a 3rd. There's no reason to go above 70 drones against someone on 2 base unless you feel like dying by Marine. Alright, the Zergling's closing and Byun sending out scouting Marines, which means there's probably... Oh, that's a lot of Marines. It's almost only Marines, actually, right now. Dark building plenty of lings. And Baneling Nest just finished up. And Dark wastes no time building them. He can start Baneling speed immediately and does immediately. Every second could count on that. Every second is another one that the Widowmine might hit otherwise without speed. Or the Marines might get half a dozen more. And of course the Baneling speed, not just the speed, which is huge, but also the plus 5 HP. Drop heads towards the main. Alright. And so it begins. The Queen's already targeting. Are there enough Lings and Banes? There should be. Looking for a 3rd. 1 medevac already at half HP. Hydralisk Den is complete. The creep isn't out as far as Dark would like it. But he does have 2-2 started in a pretty timely manner. Now, we can't know it for sure, but he is quicker than Byun on it. A drop over to the right side. He can just assume medevacs are lurking on either side. Dark making 11 more drones right now. That'll put him... Okay, it puts him at 81. So, he's about as high in the economy as he ever could be. Byun has mules, of course. Infestation pit, baneling speed, done. 2-2, well underway. Hydra range, halfway there. Choosing to go Hydra range and not speed first. Most players I've seen, at least recently, going for the Hydra speed, which is a little bit more utility to attack. Because without the speed upgrade off creep, you're very vulnerable to getting chased down. But Hydra range is better if you already have your Hydras positioned well, especially on defense. Dark. That scan is... Yeah, Dark knows exactly what that scan means. Yep, there they are. Not even bothering scouting up because he knows a push is coming. A few lings, but the lings will draw the Widow Mines into the Terran army. The fact... Okay, that's a huge tell as well. That is great for Dark. Dark just saw the Widow Mines without detection. You know what that means? An armory's not done. Byun just essentially told... Wow, the double tier depot wall from Byun. But Dark doesn't seem to care. Not incredibly effective because the banelings can just hit it. But when you see the Widow Mines after they fire, the armory isn't done. Which means guaranteed Dark has better upgrades. Once 2-2 finish, there will be a significant amount of time, let alone 3-3, where the Ling Bane is going to be incredibly effective compared to what you're used to seeing. Oh my god. Just all of the... He's just going for that... I mean, all your depots are here. He just goes extra depots for Dark is what he doesn't see a wall that's harder to get through. He sees a bigger target. And Byun probably supply blocked until next week. Right now, we can see he is. Because obviously, when you lose 10 depots, you should be supply blocked. Otherwise, something else is horribly wrong. Hive is nearly done. Dark once again. Looking invulnerable. Like, where is Byun supposed to attack? He tried the 3 racks. Got slapped down by drones. Drones! He tried to do a medevac follow-up. It got essentially nowhere besides shooting himself in the face. And then the pushes. He shot himself in the face with his own mines while giving away his lack of tech. He's Dark. Oh, now this was a mistake. Finally, we found a gap in the defenses. Of course, he's going to get some in turn. And this isn't a critical base. But losing a base, there was no vision, there was no creep. Dark, not as diligent. Struggling to replace it here, and then the drop in the main. Forced to pull back. He did clean up the left side. A lot of Zerglings are going to go down. And of course, these medevacs aren't invulnerable either. Byun is maxed out. Having to move that many units back and micro against this has slowed Dark down, and that means Byun is using the map. Finally, Byun making some plays here. Dark has to retreat on all sides. He doesn't have lurkers. He doesn't actually have hive tech aside from the Vipers, and the Vipers are amazing. Don't make a mistake on that. Don't. I'm not trying to pretend they aren't. But at the same time, this does free up a lot of the map for Byun because there's no easy way to chase down those medevacs, and he doesn't have great units for pushing. Without lurkers and without enough Vipers to split off some for an attack, there's not enough to push with. Yeah, this will be cleaned up. The Hydras get the medevac, which means Dark can pull off this angle a little. It is much harder. Hydraling Bane is at the whims of a few Widow Mines, if you're not paying attention. So I'm surprised we don't see an Ultralisk Cavern or a Lurker Den yet. It can work. He knows he's going to have a pretty solid 3-3 timing as well. And Hydraling Bane is perfectly good on its own. But it's not what you're used to seeing to end games. So we'll see. Dark getting pushed back on both fronts now. He's got to make a decision on how much he wants to commit. There's the Lurker Den. Better late than never. And it's not... Byun doesn't have a game-winning army, but he's holding strongly out on the map. He can commit forces wherever Dark is weak, and Dark has a lot of units committed to the counterattack, so now or never. Because Byun has a lot of his army supply. What some might argue is out of position. He's bringing the counterattack back, becoming part of the actual attack, looking for a flank. Parasitic Bomb, Viper's getting a little ahead of themselves. Parasitic Bomb not incredibly good. Widowmine's connecting, but here comes the other group of units. The Zergling streaming through. He clears up the Widowmines. He's going to clear up the rest of the attack. But a good attack from Byun. He finds himself getting a good trade, and the Lurker Den is the real timer here. Byun just still on units that start with M. So, while, like, there's nothing for Dark to do but make sure he doesn't take... He denies bases to Byun, and make sure he doesn't take any more damage. Byun can take good fights, and that's not great for Dark. But as long as he holds on to his bases, and he gets his tech in a timely manner, then eventually it's still going to be on Byun to counter. Byun, though, making progress. Dark still has to take those fights. There's so many Zerglings. There's 91 Zerglings and counting. Dark constantly with triple-digit Zerglings on the map. And there's nothing save a few Widowmines and several Medivacs and Bio that's actually going to deal with that. The Lurkers are on the way. Adaptive Talents, the speed and the burrow speed upgrade. It's Drilling Claws and Stim rolled into one. Okay, it's not Stim. That doesn't make any sense. It's just a straight-up speed upgrade in every way. I'm sure Seismic Spines, Lurker range queued up behind it. Those drops will be dealt with. I'm surprised we don't just see a Spire. Even just a decorative one. Gunning down the meta. You can hear the Marines die. They cry out and are quickly silenced again. Usually you'll see Zergs getting a Spire just because you have the money and eventually you'll probably need it. Oh, the Widowmine drop though. Dark on defense. He's bending here. He's taking damage. Byun just maxed out his upgrades. +3/+3 finishing up. Was it +3/+3? Indeed it was. And the Widowmine's still incredibly annoying. The fight in the center of the map, the Widowmine's forcing a lot of micro out of Dark. He was confident he could take the army in the center, so he wasn't staring at it. And he took it. He handled it. It's been handled. Seismic Spines, halfway done. Fusion Core on the way for Byun. Remember, of course, obviously, Dark can't see the production tab. That's so us mortals can keep up with these nerds that are playing at several dozen times our average APM collectively. You might be like, Winter, I don't play. Don't worry, we didn't count you. Like and subscribe. The Lurkers, though, shredding a planetary. Deja vu. Plenty of lings and mains. Still enough Banes to defend at home. The Banelings, so a lot of these fights in Terran versus Zerg are about burst damage versus sustain. The Zerg player tries to win the fight hard enough at the start that they can deal with how cost-effective a Terran is over time. Oh, those Widowmines are... He didn't get a single shot off. The Banelings and Lurkers, and just right off the bat, how much damage a Zerg army can do, whereas the Terran's trying to live to where the Medivacs can heal, Widowmines can fire, and then maybe recharge. Speaking of, on the other side, Dark just continuing through. 100 Zerglings nearly in the production tab, only limited by silly things like supply. He has plenty of money in the bank. He's got a lot of hatcheries across the map, but Byun is making progress as well. Another planetary, another set of Lurkers, and another bunch of dead SCVs after that planetary falls. Dark pulling back, but after he accomplished those objectives, he traded one base for two, and that does not bode well. They spell disaster for Byun. A couple dozen SCVs going down. Dark retreated from one base, but he's still continually maxed out with money in the bank. More Vipers, a lot more mobile and a lot less of an investment than going for the Spire tech, whether it be Corruptors or maybe Mutas, maybe Broods, but probably not against Liberators. If there are enough Liberators, we are going to need to see a Spire. Come on, Dark. I think now's the time. He's built a lot of Vipers all over the place. He's got 120 lings right now, which means he doesn't have that many Banelings, only 6. He's skimping on gas there a little. The Lurker's cutting off some of the reinforcements, but it's getting a little out of hand at the moment. Another Widowmine drop on the left side, finding damage. The Lurker will eventually be able to clean it up, but not before drones are killed. At this point, Dark stretched thin, holding out. Like, he has the money, he just can't find the killing blow. And it's not like Byun is about to win. Remember, Dark killed 2 bases. Dark might be able to kill, or Byun might be able to kill drones. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if there's nowhere for the... You don't have to kill SCVs if you kill wherever they're mining from. Of course, he did kill the SCVs as well, so... Both sides of it. Great Widow Mine, but it's only... Byun could get like 4 maximum radius Widow Mine hits, and Dark would still have 50 plus Zerglings. There are just physically so many Zerglings that Widow Mines aren't enough anymore. I mean, there's always... It's a numbers game, but... Alright, incoming. Parasitic Bombs trying to move the Zerglings through to draw in the Widowmine hits. Parasitic Bomb on both the Medivacs and the Liberators. Byun standing his ground. There's an attack on the left side as well. Dark not looking. Trying to chase this down. One Lurker going to help out a lot. Widowmine's going to burrow. Looking for an opportunity. Scans and actually kind of kills the Lurker. Dark forced to pull back from the left side. Big counterattack coming in. Byun suddenly down a ridiculous amount of supply. It really looked like this was back and forth. And then Byun taps out of the game. It looked like Byun just putting up a good show. And then Dark just breaks him. He snaps him over his knee. Because Byun didn't have any more bases. He was on a mule-based economy for quite a while. And when he got stopped in the top, I was like, Dark, why aren't you looking at the attack on the left side? I got baited by that. Dark saw it. Let us not pretend like Dark didn't see it. Dark just knew if he smashed the army in the top right, he could deal with whatever else Byun had to offer. It was not the priority. The priority was smashing the main army as hard as possible, making sure the Widowmines don't find huge connections. And it's disgusting. Look at it. He ended the game. Byun tapped out. Dark was maxed out with plenty of money in the bank. The only reason he wasn't maxed out is because he was spy blocked. He must have lost like an overseer or something. But it looks... I don't blame you if you're thinking right now, how do you beat that? What do? He tried the 3 racks. And that was the best case scenario. It doesn't get better. It does not get better. He did not scout the 3 racks. He went for a hatch and built a few more drones and a later pool. There is no better case scenario for a 3 racks than being completely unscouted until the bunker's building at the natural. And Dark is just like, fuck no. That was the statement his drones made. So the darkness consumes. Oh, I don't know. We've seen both sides. We've seen Byun just do a straight up 2-1-1. No pressure at all from Dark. Dark just sits there and deals with it. And then Byun tries the 3 racks. And Dark just handles it. And then eventually, and then Byun kind of dances around for 10 minutes or so. And then Dark ends him. This is some of the most dominant... Is that a drone scout? No, that's the Oblong. Okay. This is, well, this is how you play a Zerg. And there's nothing flashy about it. Well, he is Dark. There's nothing... It seems so simple. I think. I will say this. When you watch a great Terran, from the first person, we've seen Byun's perspective. I think it's partially the person you're watching, but it seems like there's so much happening all over the place all the time. Whereas you watch a good Zerg, and it seems super intuitive. Yeah, you just counterattack with enough to break through while defending. It sounds and looks so easy. It is not. Let me be clear. But Zerg is both very complicated but also deceptively simple in that way. Because it's not so much like how you control your units. It is very much, but the timing and larva usage. One resource that players don't consider very often, obviously Dark does, is larva. Larva is a resource, just like your orbital or nexus energy, for example. It's something that is used for production, or queens used for other things as well. But the way Dark manages, especially in the first, like, 8 minutes of the game, before you're maxed out, before you're inevitably maxed out, the way he just times his drones and his overlords and his queens and his injects. The details matter. It's like imagine playing Zerg is like a symphony. It's like or at least like a band. I don't know. And if your larva isn't timed out, like if you're trying to build at the wrong times, it's like one person's out of tune. One person's a couple notes off or a couple notes behind. And everything it's a cascade effect where you notice that you don't notice the rest, you notice that. But with Dark, there never seems to be anything out of tune here. It's all tuned up. And then he takes that tuning fork and stabs Byun in the eye. When he's finished with his song, of course. Really, Byun? Are you serious? This feels like a death. Like, this is so obvious. And by so obvious, he's hiding something. You don't lift your orbital unless you're hiding something. What he's hiding is, by the way, a Hellbat all in. Dark, I'm sure. Will he build like a quicker Bane Nest? He's building a second gas pretty quick. Huh. Yeah, the Hellions show up. Oh, well, that gives it away. The Queen's on the run. More being built. Okay, this is looking pretty rough here for Dark. There aren't Hellbats yet. Yep, there you go. Drone's kind of out in front, which... They're drawing fire in every sense. 4 queens, 5 queens. That's all Dark has. A few wings come out. Gonna attack from the back. Well. Okay. Alright. Well, I guess that's the counter. They all transfuse each other. Everybody starts throwing it on each other. The post-victory transfuses, if you know what I mean. Always a fun time. And then we'll get to injecting, and everybody gets excited. The knitting crew sewing together a defense. The queen spread. Just... I like it. Brenda and her crew standing their ground. The Hellbats are like, are you just gonna stand there? Yes. The answer is yes. And don't come back! Byun will come back. He always does. Oh, wings across. So this is essentially just queens so far. Like, the defense is queens with a few lings mixed in. And drones as well, but... Okay. There are now 10 queens. I think maybe 1 has been lost. So, once again, Byun has tried to put on some pressure on Dark's third. He's tried. Dark has acknowledged his efforts and politely yet firmly refused his advances. He's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Byun, but I'm royalty. I'm out of your league. And here we are. Hashtag Yas Queens. More SCVs dying to Lings with Banshees out. Spire on the way. The Mutas. The obvious choice against someone who most of their units don't shoot up. Oh, come on. With the I gotta move the camera myself. I need to see this. Brenda! Where are you going? I gotta save the Overseer. He's got himself into trouble again. Okay. Alether again. Alether the Overseer. The direct descendant of Alether Onionionionius, Bannerlord, and Conqueror of Nations. The Spore Crawler zoning out. The Queen's just creeping all up in the face of the Hellbats. Dark actually banking a lot of money because Queens are just not that expensive. And also because Mudas. No, he doesn't really have enough gas for Mudas at that rate yet. Builds another hatch. Muda Lingbane. Wait, is 1-1? Of course 1-1's done. Of course 1-1's done. I was wondering, maybe, okay, there. No, Byun's +1 for reference is halfway done. Dark already has 1-1 done with Mutas on the way. It's disgusting. It's... I don't, like, what do you do? What's the play? I don't know what to do as Byun. Like, he's tried everything. He's tried, I guess he hasn't tried playing like a standard 3-base Hellion Banshee, but it's Byun, so. He tried the standard mid-game, he tried the early game, he tried the, like, 2-base timing. Well, here comes the attack. Some Marines, a couple Widowmines, Baneling speed a few seconds out. The Queen's holding the line for now. Plenty of transfuse. Overseer eats a Widowmine hit. The Muta's finding an opportunity. The Queens will handle it. I guess I don't need anyone else. SCV's dying on the other side. The Widowmines have been handled. The Mutas are kind of just killing every SCV that pops out. Queens have so much work to do because nobody else is doing anything around here. Not that they need to. The Queens have dealt with the Banshees now. Meanwhile, Byun lost all the SCVs he unfortunately had at his third. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where Byun does. Like, once again, Dark has not, like, he's not won the game. He hasn't won the game, but only because he hasn't really put the effort in. He's instead, when you're ahead, get more ahead. He knows eventually an attack will come. The 2-2 is a little late. Like Byun has caught up in the upgrades. But what is the income? Yeah, Dark ahead. Of course, mules exist. There's plenty of... He's defending his main with Queens, full stop. He's got more hatches on the way. Still struggling to spend his money. The Muta's in a scary, like, nearly one-shotting Medivacs now. A real threat to turrets. Marines, yeah, they're Widowmines. Wow. Oh, I don't know if that was a, like... I don't know if that was a retarget. I need to see how many kills. It was killed in the attack. That was about... Dark desperately tried to split his Lings and Banes, but that Widowmine just changed the entire game. But the Mutas are back. The Queens are here. Dark is looking pretty angry about that. The Banelings still find connections. Wow, that Widowmine. Brenda! Well, it's not our... We can't be everywhere. I mean, he does have 12 Queens, which seems to be the number. Wow, that Widowmine did a lot of damage. That Widowmine single-handedly saved this game for Byun. I think it's now a lot closer. There's like 20 Banelings or something redonkulous. But... this time, the Widowmines don't find the money connections. At least not quite as well. SCV's dying to the counterattack. This is the 5th base of Dark, by the way. Dark does not need this base. Byun needs his 3rd, believe it or not. But Dark does not need his 5th. So even if it does come to that, it's still okay for Dark. A lot of Marines. Without Banelings, you're not dealing with that. But Dark is constantly making more. He's checking for the mines. The edge of the creep is the staging area. It's almost enough. 2-2 is done on the Marines. And the Marauder. The knitting crew is all together here, focused at the front. The counterattack, Muta-based. Bit of a Muta risk, goes for the turret, but he's gonna get all the SCVs. This is gonna trigger Byun to focus more on the attack. Trying to wrap around, deal with the Widow Mine. Fadelings crashing through the orbital. Under threat itself, it's just the Queens. Just as we started, just as it should end. The Marines and Marauders trying to do their best. The orbital is gone. The economy is gone. The boys are pulled. G. Another Queen-based ending. 3-0 Dark. This was the closest game, if only because of that one Widow Mine. This was the closest match, but it still looked inevitable. Byun had a few moments. But how, like, well. Dark, everyone has a conversation. Like, Dark, somehow Dark he doesn't get skipped. He gets begrudgingly acknowledged in conversations about the best player in the world. It's like, I really want to say Cyril, says everyone who speaks English at least. But I think there's another answer. Well, leave a comment. Tell me. Especially considering this Shopify TSL 6. Who you think is the best player. But thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, check out... Oh my god, is that video? How crazy. Thank you for watching. Good luck. And have fun.